plus 1 cubed. And we're asked what is f prime of 2. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to differentiate this, because we need to differentiate the function before we put the 2 inside of it. So how do we do this? This is the chain rule, by the way, so you can eliminate. It's not quotient, it's not product, we're not dividing, we're not multiplying. Technically we are, because we're cubing, so we're multiplying 3 times, but that's not what they mean. So to differentiate this function, to have f prime of x, we need to differentiate from the outside. So you're going to treat this as one thing. You're going to treat this probably like as a u, like what you're used to in pure math class. You're going to treat it like a u. So 3x plus 1 squared, right? And then we're going to multiply it by the derivative of the inside, and that is 2. So going back over that, we differentiate it from the outside first, so we're going to treat this entire inside section like 1, like u. We're going to treat the entire inside section like a u, right? So then we'll have 3. We're going to treat it like something. We're just going to call it something. So we're going to treat the entire inside section like a something, right? So we have something cubed. How do we differentiate something cubed? We carry down the 3, have the something, then have the square, because that would be 3 minus 1. Then now we're going to multiply by the derivative of what is on the inside. Okay? So now we're left with 6 2x plus 1 squared. This is a shortcut method, and in multiple choice you need to know the shortcut methods. So don't bother come with this whole u is equal to this. Listen, it's 45 questions, right? You don't have time for that. Okay, so then you have f prime of 2 is equal to 6 2.2 plus 1 squared, and that is equal to 6 5 squared is 25, so that's 25 times 6 is equal to 150, and that is D. Okay, so for this question now, we're given some limits. So first thing that we're going to, so they're basically asking us to find the value as it approaches -1. So the limit of a continuous function as it approaches a point is just the value at that point. So all we have to do is just drop in the -1. So you have -1 squared minus -1 minus 2 minus -1, so that is equal to 1 plus 1 minus 2 all over -2. So that is equal to 0 over -2, and that is equal to 0. That is legal. If it said -2 over 0, then it would not be 0. Okay, you can't divide by 0. Okay. Alright, so for this question now, we're given this function and we're asked to differentiate it. So first of all, what type of function is it? Are we going to have to use the quotient rule? Are we going to have to use the chain rule? Are we going to have to use the product rule? So nothing is being divided, so we're not going to use the quotient rule. This is a function in a function, so we're not going to use the chain rule. It's two functions trying to multiply each other, so therefore we're going to use the product rule. For some people who still don't understand the function thing, so if we had like sine x cubed, that there would be like 2. This would be a function inside of the sine function. So that's what I mean by that. Alright, so product rule. So if you want to go into u and v, do so, but it's going to take up a lot more time, and we do not have time in a multiple choice exam. So we're going to take the first term, we're going to multiply it by the derivative of this term. So when you differentiate sine x, you're going to get cos x. Plus, then we're going to take this term and we're going to multiply it by the derivative of this term. So we're going to multiply it by 3x squared. Right? So now we have x cubed x plus 3x squared sine x. So now I'm going to look at the options in the multiple choice and see which form they want it in. So in all the options they took out the x squared, so we're just going to take out the common factors. So the common factor is x squared, so we're left with x cos x plus 3 sine x, and that is D. So 34 is a long-ish problem because it has a lot of words and not that much numbers and stuff, so you might get scared and you say, oh, it's maths and whatever. So it says that a dial on a plane preparing for landing registers the number 200 plus 5 sine h over h, where h is the height above the ground. Just as the plane lands, the dial reads. So basically, as the plane is landing, height is approaching 0. When you go on your plane, right? So I'm going to draw like a plane. So this is the runway, right? So that's the runway, and this is the plane. So as the plane is landing, right, the height above the ground is approaching 0. You understand? So just as the plane lands, so you basically this has something to do with limits. So you want to find the height as it approaches 0. That's all. So we're looking to find the height as it approaches 0. I'm gonna say, alright, what am I gonna do? So I'm gonna split this page into about 2 because this problem is gonna take up a little bit of space. So first thing we're gonna need to do, we're gonna have to say the limit as h approaches 0 of the entire thing. So that's 200 plus 5 sine h upon h. Alright, so now the limit of a sum is the sum of the limits, so we can break it apart. We're going to have limit as h approaches 0 of 200 plus 5, I wrote this wrong, plus the limit as h approaches 0 of 5 over h sine h. Yeah, same thing, nothing has changed. So now we're looking at it, so okay, so you know that limit of a constant is just the constant. So now we have 200. So this is all we're really finding. We're trying to find this value, you understand? So we're going to just take the 5 out into the front. We're going to have 5 limit as h approaches 0 is equal to sine h over h. So alright, cool, we're going on. Alright, so when you look at this now, it's indeterminate, because if you put 0 into this, you're just gonna get a 0. You're gonna be dividing by a 0, which is that's not possible. So we're going to have to take into account the hospitals, or the hospitals. Some people say the hospitals, some people say the hospitals. I've seen both, so let's go. So, and we're gonna say so when we differentiate the top, we're gonna have cos h. When we differentiate the bottom, it's just gonna be 1, so I'm not going to write it because it's a waste of time. So now we have 200 plus 5. So the limit as h approaches 0 of cos h is equal to 1. So that's now 200 plus 5 is equal to 205. It's literally just algebra once you understand what you're doing, you know? Just algebra once you understand what you're doing.